Hello, it's 4:30. It is the 22nd day of April 2021. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming, and support me, water, because I need a sponsor, and we know I'll sell out. So I have a problem. I like to have physical copies of the game that I want to be interested in. Now, I could get the PDFs and put them on the thing, but I like to have an actual physical copy, which means if I have an option to print it out, like to go through drivethrough.com and find one that's pay to print, I will pay the extra money to get it paid out, print it out. Even though I am not in the kind of position to spend that money, I'm hoping that it will be worth it. Now, the last couple times I have gone to drive through and picked a game that I really was interested in and paid to print it out. You have to wait 14 to 24 days to get it. Got the game, and I was disappointed in it. Actually, several of the games that I have print to pay over it from drive through because I really wanted to read them disappointed me. The last, of course, was Teeny Supers, and the most recent print to pay game that I paid for drive through that I didn't have to because I could have just bought the PDF for a lot cheaper, was Trinity Continuum, the main core rulebook for the Trinity role-playing universe, which will feature, and this is, of course, a carryover from the Aberrant Adventure Aeon role-playing trilogy that White Wolf did. This is from Onyx Publishing. They took the ideas from Aeon, Aberrant, and Adventure and made it its own new system. This is the core system from which Aeon, Aberrant, and Adventure are going to be part of. Though this is also a game in itself. And it had a lot of ideas that I liked. I wanted to see what the actual core story path was, and apparently this was the way to get the core story path or get Vampire. There wasn't just a printout story path core rules. There is a quick start story path core rule, which I guess is all this minus the fluff. But I wanted to see this. I thought, okay, this is going to explain the story path system to me, and it's going to be the core rules. And from this, I can, use to build superhero or whatever using this system. Unfortunately, this is a unbelievably overcomplicated system that doesn't need to be. B, there's nothing in here that we haven't seen before. And C, way too much of this is fluff that doesn't need to be fluff. I understand that fluff is, that's all fluff, the core of Storypath, the core of White Wolf. The big selling point was the art and the stories that came with the system. So I always expected some story fluff because that's just what they're known for. But this is just too much story fluff. This is telling in 5 things what you could tell in 3, and this is space that could have been used to give actual examples of play, actual examples of character building, actual examples of how the talents work, stuff like that. So that's one of the many issues with this. Another one is just the constant reference of she. She walks down the hallway. If she is being chased by every NPC is a female. This just doesn't work. If you guys, I understand that there's people who are upset because the English language, gender neutral, has been he or him for almost 300 years, and for some reason that upsets people because they don't see themselves represented in literature using a literature practice that is over 300 years old. They want to see themselves represented, so instead of he, they want to see she or them or they. I get that. Fine. And if that's what you're trying to do, fine. 50-50, okay? 50-50. 50% of the references are to he, him. 50% of the references are to she, her, or just give the example NPC a gender-neutral name like Pat. Pat uses its telekinesis, Pat walks down the hallway. Pat needs to dodge a bull, whatever. 50-50 him, 50-50 her, or just scratch it all and name the example reference Pat or something like that. So by, trying to be politically correct and using every reference to a female, it just comes across sort of pandering and kind of creepy. Like, you really want all the NPCs to be girls in your world, don't you? Okay, but that's just minor. That's me. And the way too much fluff, again, that's me. I know that lots of people like the fluff. They like having the fluff interspersed with the actual rules. It's fine. I understand. It helps build the game and get you a feeling of the world, except this is supposed to be just the generic core rules, which is what I wanted. I didn't really need a world. I just wanted an idea of how the system worked. So the examples, instead of telling me about imaginary corporations and newspaper articles and 27 different secret organizations and whatever, just show me how the rules work. Okay? So the rules are simple. It took me a while, but I actually found them. I can't find it. But anyways, if you ignore all this blurg and you find the actual rules, they are roll dice, all dice showing target number or higher successes, add enhancements, compare successes to challenge difficulty, subtract complications to determine final outcome of the roll. Wow. All this to say that. And it's not something we haven't seen before, because we're seeing several dice pool systems. This is a dice pool system of the PIP system. It's a carryover from the original White Wolf. You have multiple 10-sided dice you're rolling. You're trying to beat a target number, and then you add any enhancements, like if you're using a gun or whatever, that would give you a bonus to the dice. It's the dice pool system we're very familiar with. It's powered by the Apocalypse, Year Zero, V8, V6 system, even Star Wars. It's just you're rolling lots of dice. You're trying to beat that number. Every one that you make is a success. So if the number is 7 and you're rolling 4 dice, every 7 is a success. In the initial 7 is, okay, you make it, and then every 7 after that adds something or whatever, or if there's higher difficulty than 7. But anyway, we know how it works. So that's something we can relatively easy understand. All this to explain how that works. And it's not even original, and there's nothing in here that's original. These are all ideas we've already seen games do. I didn't want that. I wanted a core system that told me how the Storypath system works, how to make a character in the Storypath system, and then how to play the Storypath system. But this is just unnecessarily complicated. And I'm going to show you how unnecessarily complicated it is by reading the example character creation. Alex has decided he wants to convert the characters in his game from normal people to talents. Weston and the others are now going to apply the talent template to each of their characters. Weston already made his base character, Adrian, female, in Chapter 2. Blah, 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 blah. So, first you pick the moment in your life that got you your skills and powers or whatever. So first he picks his life path, and he picks the Neptune Foundation path, which gives him some certain skills. He trades, but he has to trade in other skills to get those skills. So he trades skills that he had for a dot in medicine and a dot in persuasion. He also loses access to his wealth through his path, but he picks up photographic memory. Now he must decide which gifts are his character. He picks 3 based on his path keywords. His 3 paths give him a combination of attributes of resolve, cunning, and skills of aim. Command, enigmas, integrity, persuasion, and technology as keywords. What the fuck? How overly complicated and flippity-florpily and mamby-pamby and, oh, my character has feelings. This is just ridiculous. You're overcomplicating. Simple is better. Never do in 5 steps what you can do in 3. He can pick any 3 that have at least one of his keywords as starting gift. He picked Sharpshooter. to represent Adrian's gun skills, irons in the fire to represent his ability to multitask, and slip the cuffs to donate his spy training. Now he has 3 points to distribute among Adrian's 3 factors. He decides to put 1 point into reflective facet and 2 points into intuitive facet. Based on this, Adrian's inspiration starts at 3, 1 base and 1 additional point for each of her facets. And then Weston is ready to spend additional experience, Alex awards, to the party. What? So somewhere in there, you're supposed to understand that by choosing this path, he got some bonuses, but lost some bonuses from when he initially made his character, and those bonuses allowed him to pick certain abilities and get more bonuses in those certain abilities. Because he chose one thing, but then something happened and he had to choose the different thing. By choosing the different thing, he lost some of the things from the previous thing, which makes no fucking sense. You don't just forget skills. And then he got some new skills for choosing that. That makes sense. But then here's this 3 path attributes, command, enigma, integrity, persuasion, and technology are his keywords to go with his facets. Just stats and skills. And then derivative stats. That's all you need. I mean, D&D, Marvel, every game ever. Simple is better. I understand you want to make it feel like a story and to make the characters feel like characters in stories, in TV shows. Do you know how much information is on an average character for a TV show in the character bio? Usually 1 or 2 pages. And they're very simple. Don't need to know his integrity and his fellowship and his facets, and this is a lot of wasted space to do something that should have been very simple, and I'm really just disappointed. It's overly complicated. None of this makes sense. I'm not a sociologist. I'm not a psychologist. I don't need to know my character's feelings because I'm going to play out my character's feelings. So I don't need a stat for my integrity. I'm going to know if my character is integrity or not because that's why I'm playing him. And I get it, you're trying to write a script for the movie that is Aeon and Trinity, but that's not how you write scripts. And that's not how you do characters for a movie. You know, simple is best. Never say in 5 steps what you can say in 3. This is just too much fluff, too much disappointing, too much time wasted on things that aren't necessary if I just want to learn the core system. Now, if I had the option to just print out the rules for the Storypath system without this other gobbledygook, I wouldn't. But this was the cheapest way I could get my hands on the Storypath system to understand it, and I'm disappointed. I wanted to pick up the new version of Aberrant, but I have a feeling it's just going to be even worse than the previous version of Aberrant. And if we remember the previous version of Aberrant, it had a lot of possibility in there of doing a storytelling superhero game, something that, you know, City of Mist and Mass and others and Bash have done really, really well. But Aberrant was just a mess. This is just a mess. I'm giving this away. So this was going to be a prize for one of my subscription challenges. So it may still be. I don't know. There are better systems that do this weird modern day supernatural. There are simpler systems that do this. There are ways to do dice pool systems that don't have to be overly complicated. You don't need 5 pages of character record information when 3 pages will do. Less is more when it comes to game design. We want to get the character running. We want to play the game as quickly as possible, and we want to be able to accomplish tasks in the game when necessary without having to go through an entire scrapbook of my character's life story to decide whether I can walk up a wall or not. That is my final review of Trinity Continuum. If this has helped you in any way, shape, or form in deciding whether you're going to pick this up or not, let me know. If you think I'm completely wrong about the system, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Support me by checking out my product over at the DM's Guild or sponsoring me, because I will sell out. That's it. I'm tired. I have a cold. Get off my lawn.